And I'll get ready to start presenting this so you guys can see what I'm writing. I think this is lesson 6-5. 6-5. It's the story problems. And if it will help you to see better, one of you, so you're not craning, you can move back one seat. Yeah. So I'm going to try to do it this way so I don't have to rewrite the problem. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over 3 different types of story problems with you and make sure that we can set these up and solve them. And the thing is with these, they are systems of equations, so it kind of fits into this whole unit. And I've told students for as long as I've been teaching, you don't have to be good at every single type of story problem there is written. You just need to be really good at a couple of them. And they're all essentially the same, it's just different wording. So this first particular one that I want to show you is what I call a total value. A total value. Because as I read through this, we're going to get something that's a total number of something, and then it's going to tell me what the value of that is. So when I read through this statement, your teacher's giving you a test worth 100 points. Okay, that's the value. It's worth 100 points, and it contains 40 questions. There's the total. So I'm going to write 2 equations. And when I have 2 unknowns, I have to use 2 different variables. So in this case, I've got x plus y equals the total number of questions, which was 40. Now, in the next equation, I'm going to write my value. What are these things worth? It says there are 2-point questions and 4-point questions. Okay, there are 2 points and 4 points, and it's worth 100 points. So this question can be worth 2 points. So that's going to be 2x. Plus this question's worth 4 points, so 4y equals 100. Okay, so on a total value, your equations are always going to look like this, where you've got like 1x plus 1y equals a number. And then the value part of that equation, that's where you plug in what these things are worth, whether it's, in this case, points, or whether it's money or whatever. So 2x plus 4y equals 100. And then from here, we're going to solve using elimination. So what I'm going to do to solve this by elimination, because it wants to know how many of each type of question we have, is I'm going to take this top equation and I'm going to multiply everything by -2. I'm doing that so my x's cancel. And when I do, I'm going to get -2x minus 2y equals -80. And now I'm just going to eliminate. The x's cancel, and that leaves me 4y minus 2y is 2y. 100 minus 80 is 20. Divide by 2. So y equals 10. And what that means is there are 10 4-point questions. Okay. So that took care of that one. Now it wants to know how many of the other type of question there are, where there's 30 questions, or there's the answer. There's 40 questions total. You have 10, so that would have to mean that the 2-point questions, there's 30. So x equals 30. Okay. And that's how you do a total value. I don't have a lot of examples of those. Okay, thank you. So on this, I just worked it out. That's all this other page is. Okay, it's just me working it out. So the next type I'm going to show you, and if you get a total value, it's going to be something like that for me with fairly simple numbers. So the next one I want to show you, if you can see my handwriting in that at all, is what I call the investment or break even. Okay, this is when we're investing money, or it asks you, when will these 2 things be the same? At what point will we break even? as it does in this question. It says right there to break even. So whenever you have a break even problem, everything you spend is going to go on one side of the equal sign. Everything. And then what you intend to get in return, charge, is going to go on the other side of the equal sign. So in this particular problem, if we read it, suppose you're starting an office cleaning service. You've spent $315 on equipment, and to clean an office, you use $4 worth of supplies. Well, that $315 and that $4 per office is what you spend. So it's going to go on one side of the equal sign together, and that looks like this. 315 plus 4x. And the reason I put the x there is because it says $4 per office. I don't know how many offices we've cleaned yet. We're going to charge $25 per office. So that's going to go on the other side of the equal sign. So it's going to be equals 25x. It's the same variable here, even though it's a system of equations. It's the same variable because it's the same office. And then we're going to solve this equation for x. We don't need to solve it for y. That's not what it's asking for. It's asking for how many offices can we clean. So I'm going to subtract 4x from both sides. I'm going to get 315 equals 21x. I'm going to divide both sides by 21. And when I do, I'm going to get x equals 15 offices. So to break even on this type of problem, we'd have to clean 15 offices. But on a break even problem, I'm going to tell you again, everything you spend goes on one side, and what you're going to get back, what you're going to charge, goes on the other side of the equal sign, and then you solve. And if you notice on a break even problem, you only have one variable. Okay, total value, you had x and y, two variables. On the break even, you just have the one. Okay, this was a system of equations we solved by substitution. I just didn't write the y's. So any questions so far from either anybody at home or anybody sitting here? Because I got one more type to show you. Okay. Well, the next type I want to show you is what I call a comparison. And you can see that. It's a comparison. And it's when we compare two groups of people doing the same thing. Or on Monday, you went to McDonald's and bought 2 Big Macs and 3 fries. And on Friday, you went and got 5 Big Macs and 1 fry. How much were each? It's doing the same thing. So when you see a comparison story problem, a lot of students kind of freak out over this. But I'm telling you now, they're all essentially the same. And they're all set up the same. In the first or second or third sentence, most generally, it's the second and third sentence are where you're going to start finding your equations. So if we read this one together, the math club and science club had fundraisers to buy supplies for hospice. Usually on their first sentence of these story problems, they set up the story problem. Okay? They're telling you what's going on. We don't care, and that we don't care about. It's in the second sentence you see the first equation. The math club spent $135 buying 6 cases of juice and 1 case of bottled water. Well, guys, that's the first equation. So the math club, and I usually write it like this. So there's what the math club did. There's what the science club did. The math club spent $135, so something equaled $135. And what that something was is they got 6 cases of juice and 1 case of water. And I wish I could tell you these comparison problems were different, but they're not. They're all essentially set up the same way. So now I'm going to go ahead and keep reading to see what the other group did. The science club spent $110, so there's something equal to 110, and they did that because they got 4 cases of juice and 2 cases of bottled water, so 2W, and that's why they spent what they spent. So there's my system of equations. Now, the hardest part of this is setting them up, but does that kind of make sense once you see what's written there and how to set it up? And you might be thinking, well, yeah, it's always easier when you're walking through it with us, but telling you, you're going to see that these problems are the same. They just give you different scenarios. Okay, so we're going to solve this one by elimination. I'm going to take the top equation and multiply everything by -2. That will get rid of the w's. I'm just choosing that because smaller numbers and I only have to change one equation. So if I take this top equation, everything by -2, I'm going to do -12j minus 2w equals -270. So that's going to leave me -8j. The w's canceled out, equals -160. Divide both sides by -8. And we're going to get j equals 20. So they spent $20 per case of juice. Now plug that back into either one of the two problems to solve for w, so you know how much they spent on water. I'm going to plug it into the bottom equation. So 4 times 20 is 80, plus 2w equals 110. I'll subtract 80 from both sides. And I'm going to get 2w equals 30. Dividing by 2, so w equals 15. So the Math and Science Club spent $15 per case of water and $20 per case of juice. And that's a comparison. And that is how you would set up every single comparison. What questions do you have about these three problems? I could sit here, I could do a couple more. I think the best way to do it is to get you started on it and let you work them out and try to get them set up, and I can check them in front of you. But you guys have any questions on this? You're probably like, yeah. Once you see the homework, the problems I'm asking you to do, if you have questions, you can ask. So there's a homework assignment on Canvas. I just want you to do the problems that I highlighted, the numbers that I highlighted on the sheet, and try to set them up and go and see what you can do. If you have questions, ask me. I don't mind at all. Same thing for the people online. If you have questions, just ask me. Guys, if you don't have, okay, you're supposed to be staying online until I tell you. If you guys don't have questions, you can go, but make sure in the future, just to be sure, tell everybody, don't leave the meeting until I say. I could have said something really profound just then.